Hello, class and receiving students and teachers. Thank you. You may be seated. Once again, class, the receiving students and teachers, we are still on the same strand, we don't have sub-strand, but strand, learning outcome, and unit title. Now, before we go to our lesson topic for this lesson, you were given homework to do, receiving students in the class. You were to draw a classification tree of the set and the subsets that you made in the activity that was given for the lesson you did in the previous lesson. Now, I'd like to have my colleague, if you can show us how you did that classification tree. While my Colleen is getting the classification, drawing the classification tree that herself and her friends did, I would also like you to check on yours too, to see whether yours is going to be like hers or yours is different from group 9. Okay, thank you, Colleen. If you can just go through, we'll have her just to tell us what should go into those, into the tree that she has drawn. Instead of writing, we'll just have her to tell us, Colleen, if you can tell us what goes into each of those sets and subsets. Then, thank you. I put it down.
Okay, and this is the original set. Branches of leaves in one big pile. In that big pile, we found that there are leaves arranged in pairs opposite one another systematically on both sides of the stem. And on this side, leaves arranged alternate one after another systematically on both sides of the stem, which are single. And on this one, leaves arranged alternately, one after another, systematically on both sides of the stems, which are not single.
Okay, good. Thank you. That is what my Colleen had. Some of you may have had yours, your tree different from what my Colleen has. Okay, thank you, my Colleen. Let's see what I have. Okay, what Pauline and her friends came up with, they have another one. Okay, so they are saying they had leaves arranged alternately, that some were in cluster and some single. Now, what we actually did, we had two common subsets, and whether they were cluster or single, they go into these two main or common subsets. If you have put alternately here and opposite there, it's all okay. Whether you put them the way I did, or you put alternate here, opposite there, there's no difference in that. Now, in today's lesson, which the topic is still on sorting, the second lesson, the activity that we will be doing will be building on from where we started in the previous lesson. So the activity we are going to do, the sets and the subsets, once we come, you will realize that you will be building on from these two common subsets. Now let's see if you have brought all those materials that you were asked to bring in the previous lesson. Different types of arrangement of leaves on stems. Now, before we have a look at yours, I'd like you to see what I have. There may be some of us who are still confused with leaves in clusters and single. Now, these are leaves in clusters. They come, and at the end, you see them all together like that. Now, if we look at this is leaves arranged alternately on the stem, the main stem, but they're actually in clusters. Let's see this. If we have a look at this, I've broken one of the leaves. If we have a look at this, again, these are in clusters, but if we look closely, we'll see that this one is opposite that. Okay, this is opposite this one here. This is opposite the one that broke off. So this, we will say leaves arranged opposite and in cluster. Single, let's see, one along the stem. Okay, that should help you when you come to the activity. Now, in the previous lesson, the classification tree or the sorting that we did, this one here, that's the tree, it's binary classification, sorting objects into two subsets or two common or main sets. Now, for this lesson, we will be looking at multi-stage classification, which is set of objects that make more subsets on each of the subsets. Now, this is what it would look like. That's a multi-stage classification tree. You will be working on that as we go through the activity. Now, there's no need to copy the definition. It will come at the end of the lesson in the summary. Let's see our instructions. Now, like we did in the previous lesson, I will go through the instruction step by step, and I'd like you to take note of it, receiving students as well as the class. And after that, we will have you working in your groups, going through the steps to do that activity. First one, you have that done already. Thank you. All your leaves are already in a big set. The next, you are going to be sorting the stems into two common subsets like this. We did in the previous lesson, which is leaves arranged alternately and leaves arranged opposite. The next step is to sort these two common subsets. These two common subsets that you make, you are going to sort that into more subsets. So it becomes something like this. So that subsets that you are going to make, you will have leaves arranged opposite and in cluster. Leaves arranged alternate and in cluster. I have all those written on the flashcards. I will be putting that one up on the whiteboard to help you. Leaves arranged opposite and not in cluster. Leaves arranged alternate and not in cluster. Lastly, you are to use that sorting that you have done to complete the multi-stage classification tree. The class and some of you in the receiving schools, if you have the books with you, you should turn to the page that is on the lesson sorting tool to see that classification tree and complete it. And like I've said, words have been provided in the book to help you to complete that classification tree. Now, so I have the words here which can help us to see, this one comes down. You have these words in your worksheet handbook, students, as well as the teacher. You have been, the student worksheets, you have them in your resource handbook, so that should help you. Right, we have our leaves already in the set, so now we are going to sort them as I've gone through the step, and I hope you have taken note of it, and I'd like you to do that with your leaves. And after that, you complete that classification tree you have in your workbooks. Thank you. If I can have you to start. Okay, let's see. Let's see how you are going to sort your leaves. Leave that one first, your classification, leave it there first after you sort your leaves, and then you enter the information. Okay. Okay, you are starting first in a big set you already had. Now you are to sort it into two common subsets. So what are the two common subsets? What will be one of the common subsets, Samuel? One of the main or common subset that you are going to make. Okay, Melvin?
The leaves here, they are opposite, but they are in cluster, and this is one big subset. And
Okay, okay, let me see. You
This
have it in a big one, okay? Now you are to put it into two subsets.
Yeah.
Okay, use the word subsets. So what is going to be one of the subsets that you will make from this big group you have here? Opposite, good, and alternate. Okay, I'd like you to do that. You have your what there. When you do that, I want you to put the first two subsets that you make. Get that one out, your flashcards. Okay, move your hands quickly. Check properly. Only two subsets first. After that, you go to the others. Okay, don't worry about that. Was your original set. So from there, you are making. So that's your opposite, and this is. Keep those ones there later. Later you will use them. We are going to use that later. Okay, so that's the two. From the original set, you made two subsets. Okay, so you say this is what?
alternately arranged.
Arrange. And Agnes, that is?
Arrange opposite.
Get the mic.
Arrange opposite.
Okay, now what are you going to do? These two subsets, you are going to make more subsets from this. Now, firstly, that one stays, you can work on this first, on leaves arranged alternately. So these leaves arranged alternately, what are you going to do now?
We're gonna put them in arrange them
Two
into
more
two more subsets,
Good.
and they are
So what, those two more subsets, what will they be? Let me have Ruthie, if you can tell me, what will those two more subsets be? Anybody to help? You try? Who wants to help her? What will be the two more subsets you make from here?
Cluster and opposites.
Pardon?
Cluster and opposites.
Cluster and opposite, but these are alternate. These are alternately arranged. Opposite is there. You are working with alternate.
Cluster and alternate.
Okay, alternate and in cluster. Okay, that's one subset. What will be the next one? From the same one, you are making two. He said alternate and in cluster. What will be the next one?
Single and cluster.
Okay, single and cluster. What do you say, Melvin? Don't forget alternate.
alternately, and they are in clusters like this one here. Each leaves are in alternately, but in here they
Not
are
in cluster. Okay, can you do that now quickly before you go to that? You are making two subsets from
Alternate.
leaves arranged alternate, and you said one of the subset will be alternate and in cluster, and one will be alternate,
alternately and in single.
single or not in cluster.
Not in
Good.
cluster.
You can say single or not in cluster. Can you do that now?
No.
Okay, you have done that. Put that away. Once you do that, I want you to look for the sets that you have made that the words that can go there. Put that one away and later you work on it. In your hand. So where does this go? Check it.
This one should be with this one. They are single,
Okay.
and
So
this one arranged. They are in cluster, but they are also in cluster.
okay.
Cluster.
So look for your what and put it in
Opposite.
there.
Alternate
Okay,
and
here you
in a
have-
cluster. Cluster in this one here.
Okay, arrange alternately and in cluster. Arrange alternate and not in,
In a
cluster.
cluster.
Good. Okay, leave it like it. Now you do the same what you have done now with leaves arranged alternately. Same thing with leaves arranged opposite. Please, you do that quick. You move your hands quickly and do it because you have to complete that classification tree. Okay, let's see, Agnes. Now, the two subsets you build on, what are the subsets now?
Arrange opposite.
Arrange opposite. You already have them here, but the two subsets you make from this, what are they going to be? What are they going to be?
Cluster and alternate.
You are working with arrange opposite. What are you going to do? Okay, let's say Ruthie, you help her, please.
Arranged opposite and in cluster.
Good. Okay, so you find your flashcard, put it there, so you put those leaves. Okay, what will be the next subset? Let's have you. What will be the next subset from this you have? She said arrange opposite and in cluster.
Not in cluster.
Can you say it properly? Arrange?
Arrange in opposite but not in cluster.
Not in cluster. Okay, do that quickly, please. You show your group subsets clearly so we see. That's from that set now you have made those two, so this goes away. Let's arrange opposite and in cluster. Okay, you look at that. Is that in cluster? No, so where does it go? Okay, look at that. Is that in cluster? Hold it up so you have a look at it. Is this in cluster? It's opposite, but is it in cluster or not in cluster, Melvin?
Not in cluster.
Not in cluster. You look at it close. This is the young leaf coming out. The actual older one is here, so it's not in cluster. So where does it go? Okay. Now, so you have had a big set of leaves on the stem. This is the original set. Now I'd like someone to tell me how you went through your sorting from the original set right to what you have now. If I can have someone to tell me. If you are able to tell me that, then you will be able to get your classification tree done well. If I can have someone to tell me. You begin with, you had an original set from there until now. Melvin, you're going to tell us? Okay.
Yeah. Firstly, we arranged them in original set, and then by looking at it and how the cluster and how the opposite are, and then we put them in subsets by in opposites and in alternately, and then we arrange them as subset, then into two groups by looking at them and arrange them in opposite and in cluster, and arrange opposite and in not in cluster. And another one alternately, once we arrange them in two group through two subsets by arrange alternate and not in cluster, and arrange alternate and in cluster.
Very good, thank you. Good. You put your leaves away, and now you're going to work on your classification tree, the multi-state classification tree. What you have done with the leaves, you are going to get that information here. You can have those words to help you to get them on. Okay, that's your those words can help you to write. You don't have to put it, but you can use those words to help you to write what you should have here. I gave you the marker. Okay. Oh, God, you are very nice. plants here. Good, thank you. Oh, you're already feeling yourself nice. Good. You're already feeling your tree in? No, okay. So here, you already have the words here, see? After you sort them into those subsets and then add another more subset, then to help you, we have already have the words here. So you use these words to help you to fill those boxes in. So what would you put here? What are you going to put here? What will you put here? Look at it carefully. Different types of leaves on stems. Do you have that here? That's nice, Donald. You have it written, but do you have that written here? Anything there written like that? No. What do you have there? What do you have there?
Original set.
Original set, okay? So you write original set in there. So from that original set, you started making your subsets, okay? That's good, that's okay. You talk together and you get it done, nice. Thank you. You already filled your tree in. Okay. Arrange opposite. Okay, good. Okay, go to the next one now. From this arrange, you had them into the two common subsets. Arrange alternate, arrange opposite. Okay, let's arrange alternate. You will make two more subsets. Arrange opposite, you will make two more subsets. Okay. How are we going? Jack, what's wrong? Huh? We should be all finishing now with our tree, classification tree, filling up all those boxes. Can this one go here? Okay, let's see. Let's see what we have. Okay, good. Thank you. Let's save. What finish now? This label is finished. Okay, now when you finish your chart, who is going to put that one up? then go through quickly what you have done. Who's going to do that? Somebody from the group? Who? Samuel will do that. Huh? Okay, you have the mic there. Okay. I'd like to have group one. Group one, if you can show us what you have done with the classification tree. Group one, if we can have your chart with the tree. Thank you. We have Samuel. Samuel is going to tell us about the tree they've drawn. Okay, hold it and you put it up. You can put it here. Okay, stand here. Okay, that is the multi-stage classification tree that Samuel and his friends have done. So Samuel is going to go through it and tell us how they got the tree drawn. Thank you, Samuel.
Okay, first we did our stage classification tree, and we had an original set, and from the original set we had two substances arranged opposite and arranged alternately. Okay, from these two substances we had two more arranged opposites and in a cluster, and arranged opposite and not in cluster. And from this other one, we had arranged alternately and in a cluster, and arranged alternately and not in cluster. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Samuel. Now, so I'd like you to have a look at that tree we have done. This is multi-stage classification, and the one we did in the previous lesson. Sorry. The one we did in the previous lesson, which is binary classification. I'd like you to see the difference with those two classification trees. Okay, if you can have a look at those trees, this is binary classification where you only have two subsets made from the original set. Now, with the multi-stage classification, you have more subsets made from the common subsets that you have from the original set. These are different types of sorting or classifying objects and substances. Very good. Our summary, we only have one. If you can have that quickly copied in. Only one. It says sets of objects that make more subsets on each of the subsets, which results in stages of subsets, is called multi-stage classification. Now, while you're doing that, I'd like you to think about what our key phrase for this lesson is. Okay, you can give us our key phrase for our lesson. Okay, let's say Bagley to tell us, Bagley, if you can tell us what our key phrase for this lesson is.
Sorting out properties.
Pardon?
Sorting out properties.
Sorting out properties. Thank you. Okay, let's see what I have. I have multi-state classification. Actually, it's sorting out properties. In whatever way we do, it's all about sorting properties. Okay, thank you. Our next lesson is explain it yourself. Now in here, you won't need any materials. It's provided for in your workbooks. Teachers, you also have them in your handbook. I'd like you to also have a look at it and get yourself prepared for the next lesson. And with that, thank you, class, the receiving students and teachers for your participation.